It's with an absolute certainty that at some point in our lives we will enter situations that leave us with scars.
There's actually bedrock under that, I can feel it.
And far from destroying us, our scars simply show part of our story.
I love that. You just see flashes of gold in the pan.
A reminder of not only things we survived, but things we've overcome. By the same token, it's my belief that objects don't gain their beauty until they have a few scars. This belief is held by the Japanese, who practice kintsugi. Kintsugi is the art of fixing broken pottery using gold resin.
Nice, big, coarse, chunky flakes of gold.
The gold is used to highlight the beauty within its break.
Oh, bro. 2 pans, both the same. Do exactly what you just did. Don't change anything.
The practice centers around the idea that the break isn't the end of the object, it's just part of its journey.
My 83-year-old grandfather just gifted me his old gold pan. We're going to do a little bit of a restoration on this before taking it out and finding some gold.
Unlike modern gold pans that are made out of synthetic materials such as plastic, back in the day they were made from steel. This is a well-used gold pan, the metal's quite thin, and we've got a lot of rust pitting in it. Now there is something to be said for rust on steel gold pans. It creates friction, and that helps keep the gold in the pan. But too much rust causes such an uneven surface, the gold and black sand does not like to move around the pan, and we have to get rid of that so we have a smooth action when we're doing our swirls. And a really big problem with uneven color like this, where you got red, black and silver, is it makes it very difficult to see what's in your pan. Our first step is to take some 60 grit sandpaper here and run over the entire inside of the pan. This will help to give it a bit more of a smooth, consistent surface.
The sandpaper first removes the rust, then creates an even surface of friction, and allows for an even colour during heat.
You can see here we've got back to a much more uniform surface, and that means that when we make this pan darker, that darkness will be nice and even, allowing us to see any gold. And a great opportunity to make some war paint. Nice damp cloth here just to try and wipe off some of that excess rust powder that I've created. I'm mainly focusing on the base here because this is where your gold shows up, particularly around the edges and about 1 inch in. You can see for the most part that edge is very uniform, except for that. That's a blob. And it ain't coming off, so it's staying there. This is your secret weapon in getting a nice consistent color across your pan. Olive oil. What this olive oil does is leaves a nice brown staining across the top of your pan. We bake it on in the oven at about 200 degrees centigrade for about 30 minutes. Think of the cook pot you destroyed as a kid by accidentally burning food in it. Oh, there's nothing like bathing some prospecting gear in oil. Normally, you would avoid oil near your prospecting gear like the plague. Now into the oven for about half an hour. Crank that bad boy up. The pan's now been in the oven for another 45 minutes and we've got that crust. Before I run out of light, basically this just makes sure that that coating stays on.
Normally, I would use a wood fire to do this stage, which would make the pan go black, but I didn't have the time, so I had to improvise with a blowtorch. I would do this step a couple of days later.
You may be questioning why I used oil, and the simple answer is it's cheap and very effective. I've now done this with every single steel pan I own, and that coating will last literally for over 12 months without you having to do any retouch-ups. Because I would argue that everyone has olive oil in their pantry.
With the functionality put back in my grandfather's old pan, it was time to hit the creek with Gadsy and see if I could find some gold.
The mega pan is all nice and seasoned. We're out of the creek, Gadsy! Yeah. Woo! Gadsy's going to try out the mega pan. I've already done one test pan that was just magic, so we are going to honour my grandfather's very old gold pan by finding, hopefully, oodles of it. Golds? No? I see one. We've been waiting to come back to this spot now for over 12 months. The floods have kept us out of here and the water has finally dropped enough to where we can actually stand in the creek. To try and give you some perspective, the last time we were here, all of this back to here was bank. Old-timey luck. It's all about how you wiggle. This is the stuff I'm excited about, that glacial till clay. It's rare. When you find it, there's almost always good gold. No nuggets. The ye olde mega pan better not make a liar out of me, because the first pan was magic. Alright, it's not quite as good, but it's still not bad.
The red colour in the pan can make it hard to see fine gold, which is why I would normally finish the pan with a wood fire. The wood fire permanently burns the oil on, leaving the surface black and with great contrast.
Yeah, that's a good pan. Oh my god, they're really nice sized bits. If we get that all day,
like I did yesterday.
Steak and whiskey.
Oh, more than steak and whiskey.
Following a logical path, if all of this was covered in dirt that's been stripped away, you got to look for the first place it's going to settle. So I came to this shelf here. This shelf is a nice drop off, and that means that there's going to be a different pressure dynamic in the water. Right where my shovel head is nice sporadic gold. I say nice, I mean frustrating, because every other pan looks like this. Nice, big, coarse, chunky flakes of gold. And then just to completely throw you off, you'll get like 10 nanos in the next one out of the same hole. But we will persist because that's good gold and it's going to add up. No.
Gold prospecting for me has little to do with the gold.
Is this going to be your special sauce, Nonna?
Could be.
Instead, the drive comes from the cathartic process of prospecting.
It's a
Two.
bit of micro.
Bit of, all right, three.
3.
In the same way that Kintaguri focuses on the repair of an object, not the end product, prospecting for me is about the process of finding the gold, not having the gold itself. And it's in this manner in which I derive the enjoyment from using an old steel gold pan with a rich family history.
Oh no, there's a couple of flakes there, but at least the pieces you get are okay. They're good. I get asked every day, what's the best pan? What's the best sluice? What's the best detector that I should buy? And my answer's always the same. It's the one that comes out with you to the goldfields. Sure, there's a place for really good equipment and there are some improvements that you can make to them, but in general, the more time you put out on the actual creek itself, the more gold you're going to find. It's not the equipment, it's you that finds the gold. Getting to utilize something like my grandfather's old pan is one of those special moments. Okay, I'm gonna need you to get off the pan now. Go that way, go, yep, thank you. Old style pans like this don't have a safety riffle. That little groove is not a safety riffle. So you really have to be conscious of doing the dip and lift method as opposed to the back and forth method of washing material off. By dipping and lifting like this, it ensures the water only takes the soil off the top of your concentrates. If you go back and forth, what you're inviting the pan to do is shift all of the dirt forward in your pan, all of it, including the stuff in contact with the actual bed of your pan. If the rock on the bed of the pan shifts, it's going to drag the gold with it, and that's how you're going to lose gold over the edge of a steel pan like this. Oh yeah, we got flakies. Again, they're nice sized particles and it's sporadic. Sometimes we get like triple, quadruple this, sometimes we get less than this. It's about as random of prospecting as you can get. Oh, for just half a second I thought that was a crystal, but it's a ye old timey bottle. I got this feeling that the last pan of the day is going to be a bit light on gold, but I've only been skunked for one pan today, so that's okay. And golds! Look at the golds! That's been like average all day, at least that amount in every pan. We panned for about 3 hours, so not a big session, probably 25 pans in that region. See what we got. Considering that at the moment we can only work the shallow areas, I'm really encouraged by how coarse and chunky that gold is. Unfortunately, it's almost impossible to get any kind of high banker or even sluice down here. It's just too far out of the way, but it's a great panning spot. But I know, you all want to see what Nonna got. You did good. Look at that gold, man. Yeah. I see Nocky in your future.
Oh, Nucky's good. I got a little picker.
You did get a little picker. That
Yeah.
almost looks like a detecting scoop from this angle.
It is.
Yeah.
It was truly a humbling and enriching experience using my grandfather's old pan on the creek. And the week had only just started. The next day it was off to Reedy Creek, utilising my grandfather's pan and a method to find hidden gold deposits.
Now, as you may have noticed, the caramel colour that I put into the pan with the olive oil, whilst it helped the contrast, it wasn't perfect because it's still very close to that gold colour we're looking for.
The next step that you can do is simply light a very small fire up underneath your pan for about 5 or 10 minutes, and that will turn it this black colour, but only if you've got the olive oil in it, and it will stay this colour for about 12 months.
And this dark grey black colour is perfect to see gold, so let's go back to the creek.
The creek. You see, whilst we know there's going to be really good gold deposits in this bedrock, right now this creek is too deep. It's still in flood, so I can't get out there. However, some of the best gold deposits I've ever found lay under gravel like this. Think of it this way, if there are gravel bars, that means the water velocity slowed down enough to drop the gravel out of suspension. And what else is going to get dropped out if the gravel is getting dropped out? Gold. What you need is something like this. This is bedrock. This is what the gold stops on. How do you know where to dig? Because you can't see the bedrock underneath all this sand. Introducing my depth tester. I picked up a 5-foot long steel reinforced garden pole to probe the sands with, and we're going to find what I hope is a juicy crevice. Fern's is going to give you an example here. Right on the edge of the creek, we have a slab of bedrock here, and we have a slab of bedrock here. What I want to do is come back here somewhere and see if those slabs continue in a big crevice, and if they do, we'll know how deep it is. You can see it's roughly in line between the two. I can't get it to go down any further, and it is officially only that deep apparently. Well, let's find out.
The idea here is to see how deep down either the bedrock or a false bottom is. Armed with that information, it allows you to make a choice of whether or not it's worth digging through all the overburden to access a potential pay layer. And it might also reveal a hidden crevice or closer bedrock than you thought.
Yeah, a little bit further. And if we put it into the hole, it's stopped roughly there, which is right on top of a grey clay. Remember, we're looking for a dense layer, ideally bedrock or clay. Grandfather's pan, don't mind if I do. There's actually bedrock under that, I can feel it.
Don't be fooled by TV shows or YouTube. Most of gold prospecting is literally this, looking for where the gold is. The prospecting side of it is the difference between having an okay day or a great day.
This is the best part about prospecting, is that you never know unless you try. Did we get gold? Any gold? Oh, we got gold. Not a huge amount, but there's good gold there. The contrast on this pan looks absolutely beautiful, and we've got a fair amount of small gemstones in there as well. This is why I use this stick. Ugh. So at least, what, 2.5 feet down to something solid? Not today.
To reap the rewards from this kind of testing, it's important to be methodical. The more times you drive the stake into the ground, the better the picture of what's going on underneath the sand you'll have.
That is definitely the deepest one I've dug so far. We managed to get through a little mini boulder field, which is a good indicator. And we're going to take a sample pan from the bottom of that, because I think we're actually near bedrock. Whether I find any good gold today, I don't know, but I know this method has been really invaluable to locating those pockets. Fernie, we certainly did a little bit better on this pan. Again, not the bonanza, but we're on the right track for a good high banking spot. Mark my words, the good gold's going to be here. I just tested this little tributary here, and we found some okay flower gold off a clay layer. Again, high banking, not panning, and change of hat because it's getting hot. That is really deep. Oh yeah. However, this is all dry sand. Then we hit the water table, and then we hit clay. So realistically, we only have about a foot, maybe 1.5 feet of overburden. The reason I like this method is because I hate digging in sand. It all collapses in on you. You've got to dig a much bigger hole than you actually need, just so you can get down to the layer that you want to access. My probe actually penetrated really deep into the clay. It's not that deep, it's only a shovel head down, and I've got clay. Oh, that's some thick clay.
Black sand is what we call an indicator of gold. It shows the presence of heavy material, which means that gold may be collecting in a nearby area. Whereas an indication of gold is an actual piece of gold. That shows you that there is gold right there.
So we like seeing black sand like that, but we really want to see coarse black sand. This is very fine grain, and I don't think there's going to be that much gold in it.
As I was saying, fine grain sand, fine grain gold.
I just had a small heart attack. There was a really big sapphire found out here only a couple of weeks ago. And I just spotted this, but I think it's glass. It's definitely glass. How lucky is this? There's a massive boulder here. I put the stake in just in front of it. I'm not big enough to move that massive thing out of that hole. It stays there.
But I am going to sample the clay directly underneath it.
From what I've seen in the pan on the way down, it's only fine grain black sand, so I'm not really expecting much gold. Yeah, we got pretty much identical to what we got in the last pan. This is prospecting. This is what it's like most of the time. You are looking for it, and eventually you will find it, but you've got to do all the test pans. I stuck the probe in that sand over there, and it didn't go down too far, and I realized the bank here has been undercut by the recent floods.
So I stuck my shovel up there, got some grey clay out of it.
And can you see the difference in the black sand? It's a little coarser, it's a little chunkier, and the gold is better.
It's not just the quantity of the heavies in your area that you're getting per pan, it's also the size and shape. When you're test panning, you're looking for lots of heavies that would match the weight of your gold. So in my case, I need a piece about 3 times the size of the speck of gold to equal the weight of the gold, and therefore that's where it will be dropping out. In your area, it might be slightly different.
Having now worked out where the gold was sitting on Reedy Creek, it was time to go back to the spot Gadsy and I were working, but with the leprechaun. And we were in for an absolute bonanza of chunky coarse flakes.
Is that good? You got 5 more. You come full for more.
We're gonna save some for the creek, okay?
And on my end, one small but poignant disaster.
This is one of my favourite Australian animals. This is what is known as an echidna. It's very different to a porcupine that you may know from overseas, and they are my favourite animals. I've actually got one of these tattooed on my arm.
We've come back down to the same exact spot we were at the start of the week. This time I'm using a potato pan, and Gazzy's just yelled out, "Oh yeah, picker." Oh, bro.
It's a nugget almost.
That's, does it fit up your nose? Because it's just a picker if it fits up your nose. Still working this edge deposit, and I've come over to this section here, which seems to be giving us some nice flakes.
I say us, it's me and all 45 of my personalities over there.
Today I was using a potato pan, a traditional type of pan dating back over 4,000 years. This type of pan is the primary pan still used in most countries across the world. Normally, it's highly accurate, retaining a high percentage of the gold and moving a lot of soil very quickly. But as I was going to find out, it's not always the case.
Yeah, gold. It's not as good as the first 2 pans, which I knew would happen. I swear I got 2 almost pickers in the last pan. The second I break the camera out, it goes back to gold that just is normal flakes.
Or as Mick has informed me, the old timers used to call them lobs. I think the sweatpants bring luck.
Ooh. Yeah, the sweatpants definitely bring luck.
The warning sign something was wrong started early.
That's the clay, that's what's holding out gold. You see it's all mixed in with rock? As soon as you get sticky clay with rock, you usually get good gold.
I was digging in the same spot where both Mick and Gadsy were finding pickers and lots of coarse flakes.
I love that. You just see flashes of gold in the pan. Come on, big bucks. Yeah! Still no picker, but some nice flakes and more of them. That is a massive piece of tin. Check that out. You can make a whole, sheeted roof with that.
And that should have been the first warning sign. Digging in the same hole and not getting the same kind of gold.
Is that a good knapsack?
Other than the occasional dud pan, Mick and Gadsy's gold was staying extremely consistent.
Such dexterous fingers. I told you, the phone's cursed. I come over, you've been getting good pans all this time, you get one nice flake and a couple of nanos.
Get that phone away from me.
No, I'm stealing the luck. Unless you Mick, that bad luck doesn't affect him.
Oh no, I reckon it does.
So it raised the question, if their gold was consistent, why wasn't mine?
Meanwhile, my spot has been consistently inconsistent.
Some pans are great, many are terrible, and then just as you lose hope, it reinvigorates you with a nice flake. I think that's what they call narcissism.
Possibly.
But at this stage, I was still blaming the ground and hadn't done the introspective work to realise that it might have been my equipment.
Fernie, I can't work out what layer it's in, but you can have a nugget. Every shovel is coming up with fractured and decaying bedrock, some really nice dark orange clay, some sort of more light grey stuff, heaps of black sand, and no matter how I try to separate those layers, I can't, so the gold is somewhere in one of those layers. All of them.
A potato pan relies on two things, friction and centrifugal force. The centrifugal force of spinning the pan underwater helps blow the light sands out of the pan. The spinning action concentrates the heaviest material in the point of the cone. And stratification allows the gold to sink to the very bottom with a layer of black sand and ironstone sitting above it to protect it from any rocks or water coming down. In all our testing, the gold recovery rate is about 98%, similar to a flat bottom pan with riffles. But there's something I hadn't taken into account.
See, what we were just talking about might not have worked. The curse is definitely not, not upon me.
Oh, no.
I still got golds.
Good for you, not good for me.
What I hadn't taken into account was the shape of the gold. You see, most of the gold in my area is very fine. However, in this spot, the gold is quite coarse. The gold is coarse in the sense that they are large, flat flakes, and the extra surface area creates a lot of friction between the gold and the black sand. Friction is what keeps your gold safe in a sluice box or at the bottom of your pan, but only if the gold is able to sink through the heavy material.
Oh yeah, I saw gold. Yeah, God, they're nice flakes here. I love these flakes. Reedy Creek has some good gold.
And in this case, we're dealing with extremely coarse tin, which is used in industrial mining to create friction beds. This was preventing some of the larger flakes from sinking to the bottom of the pan and being protected. Therefore, I was blowing them out.
Mick's definitely got the most black sand out of any pan we've seen today. Can't show us the luck of the Irish now, Mick. Whoa! One pan!
I like that one.
Man,
two shovels.
In the 1849 rush, you'd be able to fold like half an egg.
Half an egg.
We should expect nothing less from bringing the leprechaun back to the creek.
Luckily for me, I was about to work all of that stuff out thanks to a little help from the leprechaun.
You haven't even started washing the next one down and you've already got gold at the back. Every time I put the camera down, Mick goes, oh my God, and I have to come over. It's the same pan, it's just more and more gold. He's got half an egg. Can he get his slice of bread? Oh my God! You've just outdid my whole day in 2 pans.
That's wicked.
Oh, bro. 2 pans, both the same. Don't move.
2 shovels each.
Do exactly what you just did. Don't change anything.
No.
Make sure your pants are down the same amount.
Yep.
A bit of spit in the corner of your mouth.
Yep. I've just added a little bit more wee though.
It's just, yeah, you know you're on a good pan when a little bit of wee comes out. Mick gave me a shovel of his dirt that had that premium gold in it. I did it in the potato pan and I got 3 flakes, which raised some serious questions about loss. But Mick's still getting really good gold from the same spot. And I changed back to my Garrett pan and I'm getting a better spec count in this pan than I was in the potato pan. For total clarity, I know the potato pan's good. I've run the loss tests. I've seen other people run the loss tests. I don't know what went pear-shaped today, but I'm going to have to figure that out. For now, we're sticking with the Garrett pan. Oh, trying to get a wet ass.
And that proved to be a good decision, because for the rest of the day, I started pulling out decent gold almost every pan.
I can't even begin to tell you how paranoid I am. Like, after seeing the loss rate that was coming out of that pan, I don't know how much gold I threw away. I've got a significant amount of gold in my snuffer bottle, and if I threw away half of that, I've just lucked out on a really good day. Mick and I dug from the same hole, and we're going to compare pans. I mean, it's a hell of a lot better than what I was getting with the potato pan in this area. It's almost identical. Mick got a few bigger flakes, but that's probably within tolerance for, just randomized dirt. After hours of panning, it was finally time to see how much gold we'd pulled from the ground. It's 4 o'clock. I took the last pan out of the heart of Mick territory and got a decent spec cow. When in doubt, follow the leprechaun. He'll lead you to his pot of gold. Whether or not he lets you get out of the bush with it is another question. Well, I'm stuffed. I know he's stuffed, so I'm done. He's well done. I'm medium rare. This is about 5 hours of panning, and just remember, I probably lost at least 30% of the gold that went through that potato pan by the looks of it. That's not a bad take, but it could have been a hell of a lot better. There's some really nice coarse pieces for Reedy Creek. Real good. Look at that. We are definitely coming back here as soon as possible, so we don't have any shovel dogging happen to us. How many eggs can you buy?
Oh, maybe half a dozen.
Look at that. That's a good picker. That's definitely the best bit we've seen come out today. For clarity, Mick usually does less pans than us, and he just has a nose for finding the premium spot. Yeah, you're going to be able to get at least a slice of bread and an egg. I honestly think you got as much as I did today.
That was a hell of a week of prospecting, and I learnt a whole bunch, but it's not as exciting as what I'm about to do, which is give away this gold specimen to one of my lucky viewers. And the winner of this nugget is Lisa Baldwin. Congratulations, and thank you so much for leaving a comment on my video. Over on Patreon, I'm giving away 2 1-gram guaranteed jars of pay dirt, as well as 2 gold specimens to be drawn at the end of this month. It costs just $1 to sign up, and the link is in the description below if that's something you're interested in. And here it is, all that coarse gold I found over the last week with a Vo-Gus prospecting guitar pick for a bit of scale. It's not often that Reedy Creek gives us nice coarse gold like this, but after the recent flooding events, we're finding brand new deposits pretty much everywhere. And I know I'll get asked about these little silver blobs here. These are amalgamated pieces of gold. Scales are all teared off, and I am not used to weighing this kind of coarse gold, so I'm going to guess maybe a gram. 1.94 grams. Wow, I didn't see that coming. Honestly, I am so not used to weighing coarse gold like that. That completely threw me. Because at the time of recording, that is worth 170 Australian dollars. Thank you so much for watching my video. I hope you did enjoy it. Please give your dog a big scratch behind the ears for me. Peace, and I'm out.